All right, we're back on Let's Talk About It Sunday with your host, Peter Abbarno. With me today, I actually have my wife, Holly Abbarno, going to be talking about the Centralia Back to School Supply Drive. Holly, tell us a little bit about the supply drive you've got going on in Centralia.
Hi. We have a back to school supply drive. We've been running for about the last 8 or 9 years. We have a big kickoff. It is called Stuff the Bus Back to School Supply Drive. We run this at Walmart in Chehalis. It will be August 11th and 12th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if you would like to come by Walmart during those times and pick up some school supplies, we'll have the bus there. We're trying to stuff the bus for the kids.
So tell us a little bit about why that stuff the bus is so important. I mean, you hear a lot of naysayers that say, well, do you really need that? Do you need the supplies? Should the parents provide it all? Don't the teachers provide it all? Should the school just pay for everything? Why is it important to collect supplies?
Yeah, those are great questions or good things to address. It's important for kids when they go to school. Some kids come with everything; they come with the top of the line everything, and other kids come with just basically the shirts on their backs, and they don't have the supplies. And so we want every kid to start off feeling confident, having everything that they need to be successful. Supplies shouldn't be a barrier in their education. It shouldn't be a barrier. It shouldn't make them feel bad or they don't have the correct items. And so the back to school supply drive is really important. I really, really believe that every kid should be able to have all of the materials that they need to be successful. And with this back to school supply drive, what we do is we take all of the supplies and we distribute them among the schools. And then as the kids come in, the teachers, if they say, hey, we don't have enough pencils, we don't have enough earbuds, we don't have enough whatever, because the kids didn't come with them, it's just there at the school. They can go in and they can take what they need for their kids so that every kid can have just a great start to their school year. And then as the supplies dwindle throughout the year, they can come and take those supplies as needed.
Well, so what are some of the things that the students need the most? Because it's every year I've helped collect supplies and get them organized. Pencils. There's always a lot of pencils, which are always needed, right, for tests. I mean, but what do you think are the most important supplies that students need?
So the supplies that they really don't come with that we need a lot are dry erase markers. A lot of the kids nowadays they use those whiteboards with the markers. They use them for all different subjects. Those are kind of a little bit higher priced items. So when parents are going in and they're trying to buy supplies, that maybe the pack of pencils is 99 cents, but the markers is $3.99. And so the markers are the ones that get left off the list if they have to make the cuts. Earbuds. All the kids now they need earbuds for their state testing, for their regular testing, for um, uh, their iReady exam. Just everything. Every kid needs their own set of earbuds, and so those are a high need item. We different age groups need different things. Even different classrooms need different things. We do even not just supplies, but shoes and shirts and deodorant. And, for PE, the middle school might need deodorant, where at the elementary, they might need tennis shoes.
Yeah.
And so it's just, we try to supply as many of the donations that they are, we divide them up. And then any of the cash that comes in or any of the donations, the teachers just reach out directly and say, hey, I have this student in need, or I have this specific items in my class that were short, and then we can go out if we don't have them donated and purchase them.
And if you're just tuning into the Let's Talk About It Sunday show, my guest today is Holly Abbarno. We're talking about the Centralia Back to School Supply Drive and the Stuff the Bus event, which is August 11th and 12th over at Walmart in Chehalis. What's it from 8 to 5 or 8 to 6?
9 to 5.
9 to 5. So I was wrong on both of those, but really important. So tell me a little bit about the students in Centralia. I mean, Centralia's had double levy failure. It's had a history of levy failures and bond failures. It's got high rental rates. It's got a lot of poverty. I mean, a lot of these students don't come with the tools for success. I mean, they don't come equipped for classes. So, I mean, I would imagine a supply drive in Centralia is probably equally or more important than almost any district, really.
Yeah, well, yeah, our students come with their own set of unique needs, and it's really important that when a middle schooler comes and they don't have any materials, and they go into that math classroom and they need a folder for math, they need a folder for PE, they need a folder for science, they need all different items. And if they come with zero, that means every teacher is supplying you could have up to 150, 170 students.
Yeah.
And so if you're supplying your folders and you're supplying the pencils and you're supplying the paper and you're supplying the whiteboard markers for all of those students for that class, it really adds up quickly. And so that's a high cost.
Yeah.
And we don't want to say, oh, we can't do whiteboards with math or with science because we don't have the materials. We want to do the best practices. We want to teach them in the way that we know that it works with their brains and the science, and we don't want the supplies to be the barrier.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, and we started off doing this in Centralia a little bit based on, you used to call me when you were teaching at Edison and say, hey, there's a student who doesn't have shoes. Would your law firm, or can I just buy them? And that's how we really started this one off. And I imagine there's a lot of, classrooms and teachers and schools that are still struggling, not just in Centralia, but in a lot of, high needs areas.
Well, it's grown so much over the last 8 or 9 years. It was just strictly from my classroom and my need. But now throughout the year, I get calls because of the supply drive, because we have so much recognition now. I have teachers from all different schools and the counselors and even the principals reaching out and saying, hey, we have this student who needs a winter coat. Do you have funds left that you can buy a coat? And so we'll go out and we'll get their size and we'll get them an individual coat. Yeah. Or a teacher will say, hey, I started with 1,000 pencils, in my math class and I'm already out. And, do you have any more pencils in that we can have? And so either we can get them from the other schools that haven't gone through as many until the supplies are gone. And then after that, whatever the need is, we go out and we purchase it. I know at the secondary level, a lot of times it's the binders. Yeah. They're going through a lot of different binders because they need them for different subjects. And throughout the year, they start to break. And so partway through the year this year, the counselor reaches out and says, hey, we need some binders because they're switching trimesters. And do you have any? And we didn't have any in stock. So we went out and purchased more binders. So it really is the money is used for what is needed. We don't just go out and buy a whole bunch of random supplies. We collect the supplies, and as the teachers come up with the needs or the students have the needs, then we go out and specifically buy what is needed.
Yeah, and one of the big surprises that I've noticed, especially in the last few years, was swimsuits. And there's a lot of young students. I think they're in elementary school where they have swim week, maybe older. I don't know, but that was the one that surprised me. A lot of students don't have a swimsuit, and we know how important learning how to swim is, especially with the pool. Was that a surprise to you too? I mean, to see the needs of swimsuits for kids?
The surprise, it wasn't a surprise that they needed it, but what did surprise me that was another way that we could help. And when we started the school supply drive, we were thinking school supplies, but you're right. They do a swim week at an elementary for one of the grades. And then the middle school, every middle schooler does swim week. Yeah. And so when we had a school reach out and say, hey, could you purchase swimsuits? Because we have this population of kids who can't participate if they don't have swim trunks. It was just another way that we can offer them another opportunity in their learning by supplying them with what they needed.
Yeah, and it's not just about the Stuff the Bus event, right? Because that's August 11th and 12th. People can come by from 9 to 5. That's a Friday and Saturday, right? Yeah. Yeah, Friday and Saturday. They can come by, drop off supplies, drop off money. But they could also write a check. And I'm really thankful for the United Way of Lewis County because they stepped up as kind of the fiscal coordinator. If you wanted to write a check to the Centralia School Supply Drive, you could actually write a check to United Way of Lewis County and the United Way, and just in the memo line, just write Supply Drive, and they've been great so that your donations were tax deductible.
Yeah, that's worked out. That's been a great partnership. The United Way has really been a benefit to us so that people can either sponsor or donate and leave money and get it tax deductible. Just really make sure that you write Centralia Back to School Supply Drive or Stuff the Bus, something in the memo line, because otherwise it could just go into the general fund. And so we want to make sure that if you're donating for the school supply drive, that is put on there, and you can either mail it in, you could bring it back to the Back to School Supply Drive at Walmart. You could drop it off at the district office in Centralia. Yep. We're going to have a box at the district office. You can drop supplies off there. We'll have a box here at the law office, Alt Hauser Ray in Abbarno. You can bring supplies to the office any way that
we are. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. No. Any way that you want to get them, you can reach me on Facebook or via email, and I'll come by and pick up your supplies. And so they're just any way that you want to help out. If you want to volunteer and come help stuff the bus and collect donations at the Walmart, we'll even take help there.
What's your email?
It's Holly Abbarno at yahoo.com.
And that's Holly, HOLLYABBARNO at yahoo.com. I mean, normally we love having people supply because we pass out flyers with what the items are. We help get organized. And then afterwards, Julie over at Dick's Brewing Company, I mean, Julie has for many years been very helpful because once you stuff the bus, you need a place to unload that bus and you need a place to organize. And they've been another really, really good partner.
Yeah, their warehouse has been fantastic. They help us. It takes an army to stuff that bus. We have lots of volunteers. And then once that bus is stuffed, we bring it to Dick's Brewery. It's usually Julie.
You and Julie, right? That's about it.
Unstuffing the bus. And so they've been a great partner unstuffing the bus and then, sorting all of the school supplies to go to the many different schools. We want to make sure that we're not taking, the fat felt tip markers to the high school. We want to make sure we're not taking compasses and calculators down to the kindergarten classroom. So we're making sure that we're dividing up those supplies equitably among the schools and then also kind of age appropriately.
Yeah, and there's been a number of different partners. The Chronicle's always been really good about coming down and promoting. KELA, KMNT usually does a live feed down from Walmart and Chehalis. But there's been a number of other really good supportive organizations. Security State Bank was a really great donor. Trust was another really good one that came in last year as a good donor. There's been a lot of good supporters and sponsors, and people can, contact you at hollyabarno@yahoo.com and let you know, hey, we want to also donate $100, $500. We put you on a banner, we get the logo going, and it all goes to a really good cause. As you heard from Cindy Philbrook over Farmers Insurance out in Toledo, she does one too. And you hear from Holly here that these kids need it.
Absolutely. Just reach out, come by Walmart, send an email, however you would like to get us those supplies. We will take any and all. We always say when someone's going into Walmart, if you can just grab one thing in your aisle. A lot of people are going through and they're doing their normal day-to-day shopping. They're not there for school supplies. We're just like, hey, if you can just grab one pack of pencils and drop them off on your way through, every little bit helps. So it's not about how much or how little, just every little thing adds up, and we appreciate all of the support.
Yeah, and not just the physical or the financial support, but even just the physical support. I'm really grateful, and one of my favorite things to watch is when the students come to collect for their classmates. You see a lot of different sports teams will come out there as a team and collect supplies and money, knowing that they may not be the recipient, but they know that one of their classmates who's in need may be that recipient. That's pretty cool to see, right?
Yeah, this year so far we have the Centralia High School girls soccer team has scheduled to come. We have the 5th and 6th grade boys basketball team that are going to be there collecting supplies. In the past, we've had the Centralia High School football team and the cheerleaders have come out and supported. And then we have just students. So like Edison takes a time slot and then they'll have kids whose parents either work at Edison or friends and the students will come out and collect supplies. So it's really good to get the community involved. It's good for kids to be out there and collecting those supplies and knowing that they're going to be going to someone maybe in their school or in their class just to help have their school year start off right.
Yeah, and I can't forget, we've got, and I mentioned this, the Trust Company's been great, the Chronicle, Security State Bank, Great Northwest Federal Credit Union, which is in Walmart. They've been awesome. United Way, Dick's, KLA, KMNT, Alderson's they've donated those string bags before. Another one that we can't forget, which is always really very heartening to see, is the city of Centralia has a competition among some of their, the utility versus the public works department versus the police, and they have a little bit of a competition. And then, Kim Ashmore is pretty funny about doing this. He'll then weigh it. The winner is based on weight, which I always thought was skewed because all you have to do is buy paper because that's the most heavy thing. But they do it by weight, and they've donated a ton of money and a ton of supplies over the years in backpacks.
Yeah, it's fun to see them come and they drop off their cash donations that they've collected, the supplies that they collect. And then I I might be incorrect, but I believe that the loser has to buy the winning like pizza or something.
No, they did a barbecue because I went over there and they were cooking hot dogs on the barbecue out at City Hall.
All right, yeah.
That's
So
pretty
they
funny.
make it a fun competition, and it's always nice to have their support.
Yeah, I mean the city of Centralia. I remember when I was on city council. It was probably 2016. It was early on, and they provided a bunch of bags that were already stuffed. There was probably about 25 or 30 bags, and I didn't know this till afterwards. In each bag was a dollar bill with a note, and it almost brought tears to my eyes when I saw it. And it was pinned to the inside of the bag, and it said, "We believe in you. Have a great year." It was just this message that was, it gave me chills because there are so many students, and if you haven't kind of gotten into the volunteer vibe of going into the community and seeing this, it's so impactful for these kids to know that their community supports them.
Yeah, that's a really great story about just them opening up and seeing the night before, while they're going through their supplies. Another thing that they've done at the middle school, which was really fun to watch, it's great to collect the supplies, but it's even better to see them go out. Is at the open house when the kids are going through, especially the incoming seventh graders. They've never been to the middle school before. They're nervous. They're going through with their little schedule to find their classrooms, and it's the night before. And the counselors took our supplies and the other supplies that have been donated and laid them on the counter. And it's students who came in, they would talk to them, say, "Hey, do you have pencils? Do you have these types of things?" So that way, those students who are already nervous, if they didn't have a backpack, they walked out that night, the night before school started, with a backpack. They walked out with some supplies already started. So that way they knew when they came in, they weren't going to be the only one without a backpack or the only one without, a binder or a pencil. And so it was really cool to see them go out and being able to choose their items and know that they were going to have a great first start.
I sometimes you forget, but man, life is hard, and it's still hard for seventh graders. I can't imagine being a fifth, sixth, seventh, or any. I can't imagine being any grade at this point with social media and the pressures. And you want a good life, you want all these things, and you get all these pressures. The worst thing would be to go to school and know that you're different because you don't have your parents don't have enough money to buy you things, or they didn't access the resources to get them. It's great that we can provide these opportunities around the state, around the county, and all these supply drives to get the kids at least the ability to walk through the front door knowing they're prepared, right?
Well,
I mean, because that's all you can do.
and to be seen, to know that we've got a sign on the door that says you're meant to be here, you belong here, but then to also know that not only am I meant to be here and I belong here, but I'm going to be supported here.
Yeah. And if you're just tuning in to Let's Talk About It Sunday, my very special guest is my wife, Holly Abbarno. We're talking about the Centralia Back to School Supply Drive and the Stuff the Bus event that's over at Walmart in Chehalis on August 11th and 12th from 9 to 5. And always looking for sponsors, donors, suppliers. If you're over at Walmart on the 11th or 12th, which is a Friday or Saturday, come say hi to us and make sure you drop something off so we can stuff the bus and make sure that all our students and families have a successful start to their academic year. You're a teacher in the Centralia School District. This is something that's, important to you as well. You see the impact every day that these supplies have. What's kind of the kind of send off message that you want to give to our listeners that say this is why it's so meaningful to maybe just go out of your way a little bit to pick up something a little bit extra and drop it off in the bin?
I really think that you just touched on it a little bit last. Nobody wants to be different. Nobody wants to go into those first year, second year, kindergarten, third grade. Nobody wants to be the only one. And so if we want to have a successful start to a school year, we want to make the kids feel supported. What better way than, a 99-cent pack of pencils and, a box of crayons? You don't have to make a lot of money to make a huge impact. Just picking up one or two supplies, it makes a huge difference. And I get to see it every day when I'm dropping off these supplies or when I get to fill the requests. And I know everybody can't see the end result, but just know that these supplies are being put to good use. We go through all of them. We run out of money at the end every year. I mean, this year I think it was about February, and I was getting requests. I'm like, oh, we're kind of getting low. But we try to just honor every single request because the teachers don't ask for things that are extravagant. They're not asking for, like laptops and crazy things. They're asking for pencils or whiteboard markers or, um, you know, notebook paper. They're asking for things that they really need to just keep these kiddos going so that the kids can focus on just being students and not having to worry about the supplies that are coming in.
Yeah, well, thank you again. And I appreciate what you do. I mean, I see it from our family's perspective too, how hard you work. You're there pretty much every second of the day from an hour before to set up to an hour after to make sure the bus is secured at the end of the day. And I know that everybody who does these school supply drives do it for the right reasons, which is to support our students and our families. And make sure that if you want to reach out to Holly and support the Centralia Back to School Supply Drive or Stuff the Bus, you can reach out to her at hollyabarno@yahoo.com. That's HOLLYABBARNO at yahoo.com, or visit Facebook. There's posts on it in Facebook and Twitter and all over the place on social media, so you could always access that. And not just the Centralia Back to School Supply Drive, but the ones in Chehalis, Toledo, in every community that you are listening to this episode in. So thank you.